Let's look at question 8 from the 2014 JAM Math exam. In this question, we're being asked to simplify the following expression. In this question, we're being asked to simplify the following expression. 2 times square root of 2 minus the square root of 3, the whole quantity divided by square root of 2 plus the square root of 3. So when you hear simplify expression and you have So when you're asked to simplify an expression like this, what they're really saying is there should be no square roots in the denominator of the expression. Once you understand that, then you should now be asking yourself, how can I eliminate the square roots from the denominator? And the standard approach for doing that is to multiply the expression that you want to eliminate by its conjugate. And so what's the conjugate of square root of 2 plus square root of 3? Well, the answer is square root of 2 minus square root of 3. So that is the leap that the test takers want you to be able to make. Okay, let me get rid of that 2. That 2 does not belong there. Since we have multiplied the top and the bottom of this expression by the same thing, we're basically multiplying it by 1. And so whatever result we produce is equivalent to the original expression. So we're going to cross multiply these numbers. So we're going to cross multiply these values so that we can simplify the expression. So on the top, we get 2 times. So on the top, we get 2 times square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of 2 minus 2 times the square root of 2 multiplied by minus multiplied by the square root of 3 minus the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 3. For the denominator, we have the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 minus the square root of 2 times the square root of 3 plus the square root of 3 times the square root of 2 minus the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. So now it should be obvious to you why we decided to multiply the denominator of the original expression by its complex conjugate. And that is because we end up with a positive and a negative of the same value here in the middle expressions, which will allow us to cross them out. And so by doing that, we're able to simplify this original expression as follows. The numerator is going to be 2 times square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2 minus 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 3, which is going to be the square root of 6, minus the square root of 3 times the square root of 2, which is the square root of 6, plus the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which is the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. So now that we have the numerator in a more simplified form, let's look at what the denominator looks like. In this case, we have square root of 2 times square root of 2, which is square root of 4, which is 2. And then we have subtract by the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which is the square root of 9, which is 3. And so as you can see already, we have eliminated all the square roots from the denominator of this equation. The only further simplification that we can do at this point is to notice that the second and the third terms in the numerator both have a square root of 6 in them, so we can combine them. So we end up with 4 minus 3 square root of 6 plus 3 divided by 2 minus 3, which 2 minus 3, which is 2 minus 3, which is minus 1. You can also write this as minus 3 times the square root of 6 plus 7, all over minus 1. And to further, so in some sense, this might be considered even the most simplest form, but in order to actually find the answer provided, you can see that if you multiplied everything by minus 1, you would get rid of the minus 1 in the bottom, and you will end up with 3 times square root of 6 minus 7 as your final answer.